Fate does not fall from the sky. It is not written by chance, and it is not granted by luck. The truth is simpler, harsher, and more liberating than most dare to admit. Your destiny is carved, day after day, by the tiny, repeated actions you choose to live by. People point to fortune as if it were a hidden hand, blessing a chosen few while ignoring the rest. But fortune, if it exists, only bows to the one who has already disciplined their life with habits that cannot be broken. What the world calls luck is often nothing more than preparation colliding with opportunity, and preparation is nothing more than habit crystallized into character. Look around at the giants of history. Thomas Edison, burning through thousands of experiments until the world finally lit up with electricity. Andrew Carnegie, who began with nothing but forged a steel empire by showing up day after day, with discipline that never flinched. These men did not stumble into greatness because a coin landed on the right side. Their greatness was not a lottery ticket. It was forged by the grindstone of habit, polished by discipline, and protected by unshakable routines that built resilience against failure. We like to pretend destiny is mysterious, that there's a secret door we must stumble upon. But destiny is not found, it is created. And the chisel you use to carve it is the set of habits you cling to when nobody is watching. The wealthy man who rises before dawn to study, the athlete who trains when the stands are empty, the writer who writes when the world sleeps. These people are not lucky. They are relentless practitioners of habits that shape their future like sculptors shape stone. And here's the hardest truth. Your habits today are silently predicting who you will become tomorrow. If you are undisciplined, if you allow procrastination to rule your mornings and distraction to govern your nights, then your future is already being written, and it is a tragedy. But if you take control, if you master the simple rituals that direct your mind and sharpen your spirit, then your destiny is already shifting beneath your feet. What you repeat, you become. What you neglect, you lose. And what you choose daily, without fanfare, becomes the invisible architect of your entire life. A man's success or failure can be traced not to moments of brilliance, but to patterns of behavior. Habits are the hidden threads that weave the fabric of destiny. They are small in the moment, almost invisible, like drops of water wearing away a mountain, but over years they carve valleys so deep that generations feel their presence. Think of Abraham Lincoln, walking miles just to borrow books, his mind sharpening one page at a time until his wisdom shaped a nation. Or Walt Disney, who was laughed out of countless offices, but held on to the daily practice of creating, sketching, refining, until the world was forced to step inside his imagination. Their habits were not glamorous. They were not celebrated at first, but they were consistent, and consistency is the soil in which destiny takes root. Too many people chase sparks, waiting for inspiration to strike like lightning, believing one big break will change everything. But the man who waits for lightning often starves in the dark. The one who builds a fire every single day, no matter how small, is the one who warms his future. Habits are not merely actions. They are votes you cast for the person you are becoming. Each time you repeat a disciplined act, you cast a vote for your higher self. Each time you surrender to laziness or distraction, you cast a vote for mediocrity. The ballot box of destiny is filled in silence, long before the results are revealed. And when the results finally show, the world will call it luck. But you will know it was your habits all along. So the question becomes, which habits are you building in secret? Which patterns are writing the story of your life, line by line? Because the future is not coming by chance, it is being shaped right now in the quiet rituals you either ignore or embrace. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. And habits are the planks that hold that bridge together. Without them, ambition collapses into wishful thinking. You can dream of success, you can hope for freedom, you can pray for a breakthrough. But without habits to sustain you, those desires remain like castles in the clouds, magnificent in imagination, yet vanishing with the wind. Henry Ford didn't transform the world of industry by accident. His destiny was decided when he devoted his life to system, to rhythm, to process. He understood that it wasn't the grand gesture, but the small repeated act that produced unstoppable power. The assembly line was born from that philosophy. Take one simple action, perfect it, repeat it without fail, and soon an empire emerges. Most people underestimate the weight of their daily rituals. They assume the small doesn't matter. They think missing one morning of discipline, one day of effort, one evening of study cannot possibly alter the future. But the truth is this: the great divide between those who rise and those who fall is built on the accumulation of those small, insignificant choices. Every skipped morning compounds, just as every kept promise to yourself compounds. And compounding, whether in money or in discipline, is the eighth wonder of the world. Look closely at your life, and you will see this law already at work. Every habit you've kept has sculpted who you are right now. If you read daily, your mind is sharper. If you exercise daily, your body is stronger. If you save daily, your finances are sturdier. If you wasted daily, your spirit is weaker. The invisible ledger of destiny records each choice without bias, and it pays you back with ruthless accuracy. This is why the illusion of luck is so dangerous. It excuses you from responsibility. It whispers, if it's meant to be, it will happen. But history is merciless to that lie. History belongs to the ones who decide, who act, who shape themselves with habits so unbreakable that fortune has no choice but to serve them. Every morning when you wake, destiny does not hand you a plan. It hands you raw clay. The habits you repeat throughout the day are the fingers that mold that clay into form. And the masterpiece or the monstrosity you create is not revealed in a single day, but in years of shaping. That is why habits are sacred. They are the daily chisels against eternity. Consider the story of Benjamin Franklin, a man born in obscurity who chose to shape himself into greatness. He drafted a list of virtues, and every single day he tracked his adherence to them with relentless discipline. He understood that excellence was not an accident. It was a product of habit stacked upon habit until character itself was transformed. Franklin didn't wait for luck. He engineered his own destiny by mastering the micro-actions of his life. And this is the hidden power. Habits are not chains meant to restrict you. They are the keys to freedom. A man who disciplines himself daily is freer than the man who lives without rules, because the undisciplined man is enslaved to impulse, to distraction, to laziness. He is tossed around by circumstance like a ship without a rudder. But the disciplined man, armed with the force of habit, can command his ship through storms, through winds, through currents, and arrive at the harbor he has chosen. Do not mistake freedom for the absence of discipline. True freedom comes from mastering yourself, and that mastery is not a single victory, it is a daily ritual. When you rise early, when you train your body, when you sharpen your mind, when you guard your thoughts, when you feed your soul, these habits are not cages, they are wings. The tragedy is that most people never realize this. They believe habits are boring, that discipline kills joy, that routine is prison. Yet the truth is the opposite. Habits free you from the chaos of uncertainty. They gift you the power to control what you can, while others are paralyzed by indecision. In a world where everyone chases luck, habits give you certainty. Destiny bends to those who dare to build rituals around their vision. Because vision without habit is fantasy. It excites for a moment, but it dies when the first challenge arrives. Vision anchored in habit, however, becomes unstoppable. Think of Thomas Edison again. Thousands of failures could have buried his dream of light. But habits, relentless testing, methodical notes, disciplined persistence made his dream inevitable. His destiny was not secured by chance. It was secured by repetition. The same law governs your life. You cannot control the winds of chance, but you can control the sails of habit. You cannot dictate when opportunity knocks, but you can prepare every day so that when it does, you are ready to open the door. Most people will never see their opportunity because they are asleep when it arrives, but the man of discipline is awake, dressed, and waiting at the gate. And when the world calls him lucky, he will smile quietly, knowing that luck had nothing to do with it. Habits turn adversity into fuel. When you are rooted in habit, no storm can uproot you. When life throws failure in your path, habit whispers, continue. When others give up, habit keeps your feet moving. History honors not the ones who never stumbled, but the ones who built habits so strong that stumbling could not stop them. So ask yourself, what are the habits that are ruling you now? Because whether you realize it or not, habits are not optional. If you do not consciously build them, you unconsciously surrender to them. The habit of scrolling, the habit of complaining, the habit of postponing, the habit of fearing, they too carve destiny. The question is not whether you have habits. The question is whether you have chosen them, or whether they have chosen you. Examine the life of every so-called overnight success, and you will discover years of invisible habits hidden beneath the surface. The actor who appears out of nowhere has rehearsed lines in the mirror for a decade. The athlete who dominates the field has trained in silence through countless sunrises. The entrepreneur who suddenly builds an empire has been sharpening their mind with daily study while others wasted their evenings. What looks like luck from the outside is simply the harvest of seeds sown long ago. The world only sees the fruit. It ignores the roots. Habits are the roots. They dig deep, unseen, silent, but they hold up the tree when storms rage. Without them, even the tallest oak falls. With them, even a seed can split stone. Your destiny will not be determined by one decision, but by the habits that flow from that decision. Anyone can decide to be great. Few are willing to build the habits that make greatness inevitable. And that is why most people remain trapped in mediocrity, not because they lack talent, but because they lack the courage to discipline their lives into alignment with their vision. There is a brutal honesty about habits. They don't care about your feelings. They don't wait for you to feel inspired, motivated, or energized. They simply demand consistency, and that is why they are so powerful. Emotions rise and fall, motivation burns and fades, but habits remain like stone pillars in the storm. Andrew Carnegie once said that people who are unable to motivate themselves must be content with mediocrity. He wasn't speaking of motivation as emotion, but motivation as daily discipline, as the refusal to surrender to weakness. His empire was not built in bursts of inspiration, but in the quiet discipline of organized habit. This is why you must design your environment around your habits. Because you are not stronger than your environment, you are shaped by it. Surround yourself with reminders of your higher self, and your habits will align with your destiny. Surround yourself with mediocrity, and your habits will drag you downward. The books on your shelf, the people in your circle, the routines in your calendar, these are not random. They are architects of your destiny. Do not deceive yourself into believing you will rise above your daily environment. You will not. You will rise or fall exactly to the level of your habits. Habits also decide how you endure suffering. Pain is inevitable. Loss, failure, rejection, setbacks will come. The question is not whether you will face them, but whether your habits will allow you to rise again. When Abraham Lincoln lost election after election, it was not luck that kept him moving forward. It was habit. The habit of perseverance, the habit of faith in his purpose, the habit of refusing to bow to despair. When life breaks you, habits rebuild you. They give you structure when your spirit is shattered. They whisper direction when your mind is lost. They remind you who you are when the world tries to convince you otherwise. Habits are not just tools for success, they are lifelines in the darkest nights. And this is why destiny is not chance. Destiny is resilience, rehearsed daily through small actions that prepare you for storms. The man without habit crumbles when pain arrives. The man with habit is bent but never broken. Now let us speak of clarity. Habits without vision can become prisons. A man who repeats empty rituals without direction is like a horse running in circles, tireless but never progressing. That is why you must marry your habits to your vision. Purpose gives meaning to repetition. It transforms daily struggle into sacred ritual. Walt Disney was ridiculed, rejected, and bankrupt more than once. What kept him alive was not blind repetition, it was a clear vision of a kingdom of imagination. That vision gave fuel to his habits, and those habits, in turn, gave flesh to his vision. This is the cycle of destiny. Vision inspires habits, habits build destiny, destiny validates vision. Break the cycle, and you are lost. Ask yourself, what vision fuels your habits? Are you waking early for a higher purpose, or merely because someone told you it's productive? Are you working hard with clarity, or just busy with noise? Destiny is not built by activity. It is built by intentional activity, guided by vision, anchored in habit. There is another truth. Gratitude is also a habit. Too many rise with bitterness, with envy, with resentment, and they wonder why life resists them. But gratitude, practiced daily, transforms the mind into a magnet for growth. It reminds you that opportunity already surrounds you, that abundance is present even when resources seem scarce. Henry Ford once said, "If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." Gratitude is what aligns your mind with the possibility of can. Without it, every obstacle looks like a wall. With it, every obstacle looks like a stepping stone. Gratitude is not emotion, it is practice. It is a habit of perception. And like all habits, it compounds. Each day you find something to be thankful for, you rewire your mind for resilience, for patience, for optimism. And optimism is not naive, it is the fuel of action. Gratitude, discipline, vision, resilience, these habits are the foundation stones of destiny. Ignore them, and you gamble with your future. Embrace them, and you make luck irrelevant. Your habits decide the direction of your thoughts, and your thoughts decide the direction of your life. This is why guarding the mind is one of the highest habits of all. Napoleon Hill himself said, "You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, because you have the power to control your thoughts." Every thought repeated becomes belief. Every belief reinforced becomes action. Every action repeated becomes habit. And every habit solidified becomes destiny. This is the unbroken chain of life. Break it at the thought level, and you redirect your entire future. That is why the small habit of feeding your mind with books instead of gossip, with knowledge instead of noise, with creation instead of consumption, is not small at all. It is the seed of transformation. If you pollute your thoughts, you pollute your destiny. If you discipline your thoughts, you discipline your destiny. The greatest leaders in history mastered this truth. They knew that the mind was a garden, and habits were the daily watering that determined whether weeds or fruit would grow. And so when you strip away excuses, when you silence the myth of luck, when you stare honestly into the mirror of your life, one truth remains. Your destiny is the reflection of your habits. Every morning routine, every late-night choice, every word you speak to yourself when no one is listening, these are the invisible architects of your future. You are not waiting for luck. You are not waiting for fate. You are building it, piece by piece, brick by brick, in the silence of your habits. The world may call it coincidence, they may call it fortune, they may call it destiny. But you will know. You will know that you earned it in the dark long before the spotlight arrived. So choose wisely. Build habits that honor your highest vision. Defend them with the ferocity of a warrior. Repeat them until they become unshakable. Because in the end, destiny does not belong to the lucky. Destiny belongs to the disciplined.